Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Schooner Simulation. I'm your host, Michael Whitman, and we're throwing it way back today. We'll be watching the game of the century, OU versus Nebraska, as it was meant to be, on an 8-bit cartridge on the good old NES. Shoutouts to Pack and Sack Dave for publishing this absolutely amazing ROM hack for Tecmo Super Bowl. If you'd like to find out how you can get your hands on this special copy of the game, or feel the need to support the dev, check out Pack and Sack's website. A link will be in the description below. In all honesty, Tecmo Super Bowl isn't as robust in things like stat calculation or control over the weather, so don't worry, we've also run the sim in NCAA 14 like always, setting our two teams up and analyzing the gameplay footage. This version of the ROM has the rosters for the 2020-21 season, so we'll be seeing how the Huskers fare against Perkins on defense and Marcus Major in the saddle, not forgetting Theo Weiss is back in action as well. And, well, the results kind of speak for themselves. Making a way too long story short, the offense and defense for both teams looked nearly identical, and that's what you'd expect with an AI that's 30 years old. But the biggest differentiator on this front was turnovers. Our good friend Bobby from the Schooner Pod joined me during this recording session, and here's how he described what led to the Sooners' downfall in an absolutely crushing 48-21 loss.
I'm just thankful this is a Super Techmo Bowl and not real life, because that was one of the worst football games I've ever seen. Way too many fumbles. I'm glad they don't show it as a stat here. Actually, no, I'm not, because I wish I could count them. There was something like 5 fumbles for OU, starting out the second half with 2 of them right in their own 20. Just atrocious performance from the Techmo Bowl Sooners, and they should be banned from going to Techmo Bowl Logies after this. Pack and Sack Dave, get us our 8-bit Logies. We need the cutscene after you lose of all the players sadly drinking at the campus bar.
Couldn't agree more, Mr. Howard. Throughout the game, we also noticed a reluctance to pass deep from both sides, both QBs not seeing wide open receivers in front of them, instead choosing to throw into double coverage, and, well, not Heisman-level difficulty. With a limited playbook, both sides also favored trick plays. Nebraska enjoyed reversals, while Oklahoma favored the flea flicker, and both found limited success. Then again, the sim seemed to think Obi Obialo was the best target at any given time, and got him 132 yards over the 4 quarters of play. It feels like we've entered the fumble dimension. Let's go back to NCAA before more crazy things happen. Much better. If you're new here, this is how it goes down. We set both teams to Heisman-level difficulty and watch the chaos ensue. The updated rosters, courtesy of the Operation Sports Forum, ensures we have the correct players, and the College Football Revamped modification updates the visuals and makes both teams look clean. Check out links to both in the description below. We'll need that level of detail to keep these two teams separate. We have Nebraska in their traditional white-away jerseys and red pants up against Oklahoma in their tried-and-true crimson tops and white bottoms, just as God intended. This game marks the 3rd game straight being played at the Palace, and the weather looks to be much kinder than the Tulane sim. According to Dark Sky, it'll feel like 86 degrees at kickoff with clear skies and a 9-mile-an-hour wind. Or at least that's what the model said while we were recording the sim. The real forecast has since changed to 80 degrees, partly cloudy and with 80% humidity, but there's no turning back now. This version of the game turned out much more realistic. Bobby let me in on what he believed would be key to look for on the Nebraska side.
Look for Taylor Martinez to actually run a lot during this game, so the sim is doing its thing here. Martinez has been very run-heavy so far. He's the leading rusher for the Huskers. Nebraska is very deficient of offensive talent outside of Martinez. So they're going to need some help.
As well as what he believed the key to OU maintaining a dominant performance was.
It's about how much they can finish a job top to bottom against a team that, it's a Power 5 team, it's a pulse like that. Nebraska's not a good team by any measure. They would be one of the worst in the Big 12, but at the same time, this is easily... No, not easily. I think Tulane might potentially be better than Nebraska, but it is still a team that's good. This game is going to be a challenge in a couple ways, I would say.
Well, the sim definitely didn't make it look like too much of a challenge, but otherwise, Bobby was right. While momentum shifts definitely still seem to be a problem this week, the streaks that the team was able to create let them march down the field. There were only a few big plays on offense, most of which came from powerful runs from Kennedy Brooks, and left Rattler with a QBR lower than Martinez's. The one thing Rattler did have, though, 2 rushing touchdowns. and many weapons on offense. NCAA attempted to counter this by imposing a BS fumble right next to the goal line, but the call did eventually get reversed. Otherwise, critical third down conversions and making fewer mistakes than the Huskers ultimately led to points. Nebraska's defense seemed like an afterthought while watching the game. The Sooner defense, however, was the complete opposite. Nebraska did occasionally take advantage of the momentum shifts to rack up big yardage, like a last-minute 80-yard touchdown pass to Oliver Martin, but when OU imposed their will, they took up massive opportunities to make critical stops, tackle for a combined 4 sacks and 9 TFLs, and force turnovers, one of which was a scoop and score by David Ogwebu. After painfully extending the game with a failed onside kick, forcing a 3-and-out, and throwing a completed Hail Mary that just didn't pray hard enough, Scott Frost finally heads to the locker room as the Sooners win 27-14. Bobby's final thoughts on the game are similar to mine.
This is a dominating Oklahoma performance outside of the first drive and that, kind of garbage time Nebraska touchdown. In general, it's about winning the turnover battle. Just like in Techmo Bowl, the difference is OU just absolutely made Nebraska pay. Obviously, anytime you can get a defensive touchdown, that's huge. Just in general, good performance for OU, and hopefully it reflects kind of similarly. Maybe put Nebraska away, don't have a large tight end, drop a 90-yard touchdown on you. But in general, gotta love what you see from the sim. Much more encouraging than the Tulane one was.
And that's all for today. Who do you think will win come game time? Let us know on Instagram @InstaSchooner, and be sure to follow for all the Sooner-related memes hot off the wagon.